Welcome back. Today's video we're going to be doing an oil painting, and you can see I've just mixed up some mixture of yellow ochre and I think raw sienna, touch of Payne's grey, and usually I would mix this bit thinner, but you hear the sound. I just love that scraping. It's almost like toast. I usually do use a thinner mix, but I didn't have enough sort of solvent to do that, and actually I actually dropped my sand soda, which wasn't very good. But here I am, just coating the whole canvas and the sides as well, and here you can see I'm just using some blue shop roll, it's called, just to take off any excess oil and make that dry. So the next stage, I've mixed up a little bit of burnt umber, or Van Dyke brown I think it is, and just sketching in the outline, planning out the composition, and just to make sure I get everything that I want to get in. So it doesn't really matter this stage. You can, if you make mistakes, you can always cover them up, but I just wanted to get that in so that I know where I'm going. So there we go, you can see how bright the colour is, and because I've not used some of these oil paints in some time, it takes you can see the tool I'm using, some sort of wrench to open up the lids of the paints. So if you do have any problem with this sort of thing, paint drying in the lids, then just get a pair of pliers or something to grip the lid and just open them that way. So I'm just a touch of Payne's grey and titanium white I'm using, and then a few drops of linseed oil, refined linseed oil, and you can see there's the reference that I'm going to be working from. And I'm using the palette knife just to, it's almost like a Hague brush for watercolour. It's like a good way to get a lot of sort of colour down in one go, so I just find that convenient. That's the only reason why I'm using it on the sky, just to get the paint down, and then I can use a brush just to sort of blend and get that sort of detail smoothed out somewhat. So it's quite different. I know I've posted a couple of oil paints before, but this one is quite large in size, and I'm using my Winton oil colours. They're I'm pretty sure they're a student grade. They're just nice to use. That's what I've got left, and I've only got a few Jackson's oil colours that I ordered, but I just thought I'd give it a go and do this scene. So I'm going to show you the whole process, and there's going to be sped up in places, as you can see. I just wanted to keep this video quite short. I did spend quite a bit of time on this painting, so I wanted to condense that down. There's the reference again. So it's quite a nice scene. This is top Mossley, and you got St George's Church on the right hand side, and some nice hills in the distance, which I want to keep sort of faded and almost sort of sky colour, just a bit darker than the sky. So there's plenty to do. There's nice details, a lot of rooftops and texture. So I will be using the palette knives. So if you've not used the palette knives before, I will show you how I do use the palette knives. And by the way, I'm using if you've come across mediums such as liquin. It's liquin. It's a medium that helps flow, speeds up the drying process, and also I'll be using the impasto liquin. So it's the same sort of stuff, but a thicker sort of consistency, so you can really build up texture and get that real sort of painterly feel. So I do like, in oil painting, I do like that sort of painterly look, where you can see the brush strokes and really sort of thick paint. You can see how I'm applying the oils here. I've just mixed up with my palette knife and with some liquin impasto, and I'm just almost like icing a cake, just plastering on the oil paint. So I want it quite thick, quite textured, because this is in the foreground. It's just as from the viewpoint, it's the closest to us, so I want to get some nice thick texture. And then obviously the further away in the scene it gets, then I want the smoother, sort of paler colours. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm going to be speeding the video up here and there. I don't want to be too long. You can see it's sort of a 15-minute video, so it just gives you an overview of this painting process. So I'm just going to show you the result of the liquid impasto. You can see the wall in front. It's got a lovely texture to it and a nice shine. It gives a sort of semi-gloss look as well. So if that's something you're after, then liquid impasto is the way to go. Now the original liquin, the normal liquin, I'm using sort of throughout the scene, throughout the different colours and different places, just to speed up the process, and it does give that little bit of gloss to it as well. So it's nice to glaze, and that's my intention. In this painting I do sort of just block in colours. It's mostly shapes, and then I'll be going over and then going over again, just to sort of tweak things here and there and correct things as I go. I really do like painting using oils after quite some time. I know watercolours is said to be a sort of unforgiving medium, which I understand. There's sort of one shot, there's very little you can do once the colours, the pigment's down. But I find with oils, you get sort of 9 lives. You can just keep going, and if you do make a mistake, you can just cover over, you can layer and even scrape off pigment if it's in the wrong place. But there's really no need to do that. You can just keep going and cover as many times as you want. So in that way, oils I find very forgiving, quite easy to control when you're used to using watercolours. So if you've not tried oils and you do like to do painting with watercolours, then maybe it's something you should consider trying. Like I said, I use the Winton brand, which is the lesser quality, a bit cheaper to buy, but this is the sort of the colours that you can get, the vibrancy of colours. Now you can see how I'm doing the roofs, the straight lines, because if you're anything like me, it's really difficult to get straight lines with a brush that's sort of moving around as you're trying to draw a line. So I'm using the palette knife first, and then going over with the brush itself just to strengthen that. And it doesn't really matter if the lines aren't perfect. As you can see here, I will be going over with some pen and blending some of those lines anyway, so I'll just strengthen them once I get some colour onto the rooftop. And it's really nice because this scene, it was actually from a photo that I took, and it had been raining, So there's a lot of reflections, sort of light bouncing off the roof, so you get that nice, very light grey light, almost the sky sort of reflecting from the roofs. So I really like that, in contrast with the black sort of, well, dark sort of black grey sort of lines of the tiles. So I really like that, and I'm hoping that I can do that in this painting, sort of illustrate that. So what I'm doing, I'm just dabbing on some white, some titanium white, and this is quite thick, quite dry, quite dry as the paint goes. And then once I've blobbed in a little bit, I'll just, you can see, just blend that in, sort of smoothing it out just a little bit, and I'll give you that nice nice look for tile, sort of reflecting light. So I just, quite a tedious process, but I just continue this throughout the whole of the roof. But I think that's the way it sort of it looks quite nice. I'm quite happy with the way this is going. So you just take your time. I use the refined linseed oil just to give a bit more flow to the paint. So if you are trying to blend and you want a nice flow of paint, then refined linseed oil is ideal for that, as well as the original liquin, which I do like to use. But then when you get you want thicker paint and thicker sort of textures, then you probably use less of that, and more so to the liquid impasto. So the liquid impasto is more of a sort of toothpaste sort of consistency, maybe just a bit thicker, and so it bulks up the paint, and you can really build up some nice interesting textures if that's the sort of look that you want, like I've done on the wall in the sort of foreground. So as I'm going sort of more distant in the composition, then obviously the less sort of details. I'm just leaving it a bit more loose, and obviously the more detail is in the foreground. So that's the sort of look I'm going for. I'm just adding some more green to the hills, just knocking the colour back just a little bit. And there's a little bit of a light sort of shining on the hills. You can see that sort of pale green colour, and really nice use of light in this scene. So I wanted to capture that as well. I know in the reference photo there's actually a satellite dish on the roof that's closest to us. The roof on the right hand side, there's a satellite dish attached to the roof, and I'm sort of umming and ahhing what to do, whether to add that. So if you got any thoughts, any comments about that, then please add a comment. Let me know what you think. Should I go ahead and add the satellite dish? It was that and the weed that I've just painted on the wall. I wasn't sure whether to add. I didn't want to take too much attention away from the actual sort of church and sort of the sort of center of the composition. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Shouldn't I include the satellite dish? I'm just playing around with the idea. I know I've done this video and it's not included in this video, but I'm just thinking, I got to a point where I just wanted to stop painting this. I didn't want to add anything else. It takes a lot when you do paintings, especially when you go for detail. It took enough of my time, and I didn't really want to spend any more time on it. But if you let me know in the comments what you think, if I should add that, then let me know. But I do find it quite nice the way it is. I'm just unsure I think when you're sat down and you're sort of painting and invest so much time into a painting, it's hard to see what you need and what you can leave out. But this is the finished painting, I think. But let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you like this video. I hope you've learned something new, and if you want to try the original liquin, the liquid impasto, I do recommend that. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.